So this is my adoption story in more depth. So I was adopted from China when I was 10 months old from a place called Wuxi, which is in Jiangsu province. So that's like the southeast of China. And I was adopted around the one-child policy. So the one-child policy is basically where in China it was illegal to have more than one child. So that means that all the girls were the ones usually given away because the boys were the ones that could get the good jobs, you know, and the girls, they had to either marry well or work in the rice fields, or like both. But the thing is, because most of the boys could get a good job and support the family, the girls were the ones that were given away. And then the girls would have to marry well, because not only would their husband have to support his own family and his new family now, but he would also have to support his wife's family as well. So that's why mainly most of the boys were kept and the girls were the ones that were given away. And I was one of the lucky ones, because a lot of the time the baby girls were left on like the street or the side of the road or in the marketplace. And if they were left on the street or the side of the road, they could have got like run over by like a motorbike, by cars, so like it was actually really bad. And then if they were left in the marketplace, you could have frozen to death. So I was really one of the lucky ones, because I was left on church steps. So nuns found me and then they put me into a baby home which had an agreement with the Irish government. So that's how my parents came to adopt me. My parents were on the adoption list for 2 years before they even like found out about me. So I wasn't even born when they had applied, and they pretty much knew it was going to be a girl, because as I said, when you apply for China, you kind of knew it was going to be a girl. Whereas say if you like applied for another country, you would maybe get a boy or something like that, like maybe some Eastern European countries. But for them, they always knew it was going to be a girl because they chose China. My dad is full Irish and my mom is half Irish, half Luxembourgish. And I grew up in Dublin my whole life, in Dublin, Ireland my whole life. And when anyone asks me where I'm from, I always say Ireland. When I became adopted, I gave up Chinese citizenship and I got full Irish citizenship. So I only have Irish citizenship. And when anyone asks me where I'm from, I always say Ireland. But sometimes that creates a problem, because some people do not accept that I'm Irish. Growing up, it was hard because I was like the only Asian child around me, like growing up and in my area. My mum was friends with some people that had also adopted from China or other Asian countries, so it was really good to get to meet them and play with them and things like that. But again, I was kind of so young, I didn't really like understand properly. And then like kids in like preschool or in crash, as we call it, they like would make like this gesture or like say really mean names and like tease me and stuff, and that really like affected me and how I saw like my heritage and things like that. And then I like really tried to like distance myself from China and everything to do with China. And I like when I was getting older and all my friends around me were going on dates and getting boyfriends and I wasn't. So I just like thought that was because I was Chinese, they weren't interested and things like that. And that just further made me distance myself from China and everything to do with China. I actually got into makeup to like change my Asian eyes. I remember looking on YouTube like how to make your eyes look more open or how to change your eye shape and things like that. And it's actually so sad looking back on it now, but that's how I like first got into makeup and how I first started like really enjoying my love of makeup, really, because it all started because I wanted to change my eye shape. But then I remember looking at all like the OG YouTubers and everything like that, and I would think, and I like look at them and I'd be like, oh my god, I wish I looked like them. But looking back on it, they were all blonde hair, blue-eyed and white, you know, like that was just never gonna happen. But I was just like, that's how I like saw role models and that's how I wanted to look. Even as like a young girl, you know, like looking at Disney princesses, like Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and everything, those were like the goal, you know, not like the Mulan or Pocahontases of this world. It was more like Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty or Belle, you know, all these princesses that like we looked up to growing up and everything. They were, you know, they were like the main princesses that everyone would look up to and want to be, not the Mulans or Pocahontases. Then when I went to secondary school, like everything kind of got better. Like people didn't say as many comments to me. I wasn't as like aware of being the only Asian. I was still the only Asian, but I just like, people didn't say as many comments to me or things like mean things or things like that. They didn't point it out as much, I would say, that I was different, or they didn't make the gestures or anything like that. So it did like get better, and I feel like in a sense that as I saw it, I was like blending in, like I was, you know, not getting noticed, and that's all I wanted to ever do when I was a young child. Then when I was 18, I was walking home from doing my mock English exam in the Leaving Cert. So I was walking home and this man spit on me. I was like, I thought like a bird like shit on me at the beginning. I was like, oh my God. But then I looked down and he spit on me. So, and then he told me to go back to my own country. I've had an old man yell across the street at me, telling me to go back to Vietnam. I've had loads of other smaller comments that I've just lost count at this stage, you know. Growing up, I always knew I was adopted. Like, it was never a secret. My parents always told me, like, straight from the beginning that I was adopted, and I knew I was. And I would see the looks that people would give me in the supermarket when they would look at my parents. They would look at me and then they would look at my parents again, and I would notice those things. But I feel like nowadays Ireland is becoming way more kind of multicultural and everything like that, so it's not as, I don't notice it as much. Maybe I'm getting used to it, I don't know. But and then when I was 18, so as I said, I distanced myself so much from like everything to do with China. But then when I turned 18, I started getting interested in it again. I started realizing that, like, you know, that the things that those people said to me when I was younger, or the teasing that I got or all the things about boys not liking me was not, you know, it was just, I got older, I think, and I realized that I should be proud of where I came from, and my story is completely unique and different, and I should really embrace that. So then when I turned 18, I got this tattoo for my birth parents, and it means everything happens for a reason in English, but in Mandarin it means good people, a life of peace and safety. So it means that I'm wishing my birth parents a life of peace and safety and health, and that obviously that they're good people, because without them I would not be here today. I love my life here, and I'm so lucky to have all the opportunities that I would have never ever had if I were still back in China. So I am so grateful to my birth parents for everything that they have done for me. And that's another thing. One question I get asked a lot is, would you ever want to find your birth parents? And there's kind of two parts to this, because the first part is I would never, even if I wanted to, I couldn't, because they left me on the church steps, no note, no nothing. So it'd be one chance in a billion. I'd have to submit my DNA, they would have to submit their DNA. So it would be like one chance in a billion. So I don't think, like, it's not really possible. And then for more than a billion probably. But the second thing is, even if I could, I don't think I would, because the way I see it is, your parents are the people that raised you, and my life in China and all of that was a life that could have been but wasn't. So I think that some things in the past should just be left alone. And as I said, I'm forever grateful to them. They've done the biggest thing that anyone could ever do for me in my life. And I think about them a lot on my birthday, but I think that everything happens for a reason, and that was another life that could have been but just wasn't. So that's a different path that could have been taken but wasn't. So I think that my path is this way now and their path is that way. So I just wish them well, and I wish them love and happiness and peace and everything. But I think that some things in the past are best left. And as I've gotten older, I have got more interested in my ethnicity and everything. So I would love to do like a 23andMe or my heritage or something like that. And I do plan to do that this summer. Once I start working again and everything like that, because I'm broke. But I would love to do that, and I'd love to find out if I am like 100% Southeast Asian, but I'm Southeast Chinese, sorry. So yeah, this is just my experience and my story with adoption. Everyone's is different and everything, but thank you so much for listening, and let me know if you have any questions about it.